Alright, this wasn't on the initial to-do list when I started this little grab bag of projects. That seat is done. It's even worse than it looks. This padding is all gone. You're sitting on the steel bar. And the back, not a lot better. Turns out a seat cover doesn't fix this problem. So I've wanted that to suck less for a long time, but I've lacked the motivation to go to a junkyard and figure out what's compatible and make it work and what have you, and so I've just been living with it. But in my hilariously overloaded van here, I have a solution. I went to an industrial auction looking for some tools and other handy things, and they had pallets of rear seats from 2024 Ford Explorers. I guess they were doing police car conversions or something. And so I got 8 of them for $10. I have no idea how much of a challenge I'm in for stuffing these things into that truck. Let's find out. I think I lucked out on this one. It's just what I was hoping for. There's it's pretty crusty, but there's a slide here with the bolt holes and angles that match the body. And I can unbolt this from the bottom of the seat at just a flat parting plane. Of course, my new seats don't have a flat parting plane, so I'm going to have to get cute there, but this can come off. I can just take some chunks of steel and make a little subframe for it. Adapt that to the new seats, and I think I'll be in business. All right. I don't know if you can see, there's some kind of rollers in there that slide back and forth, and then these teeth lock it. This is a minimum effort restoration here, so I think I'm just going to blast the dust out of it, flood it with some lock lube, and that's going to be good enough. Wow, what a difference. All right, I think now it's worth doing a quick mock-up, make sure height's not going to be totally loony. Well, that doesn't look super promising. Yeah, I fit, but that's way too high. Okay, it's turning out a little trickier than I was hoping. So, in this truck with a 1-inch subframe, these seats are sitting too high. So I gotta take some space out of this somewhere. This seat, this is the driver's seat, and the passenger seat is, at least the bottom is similar and symmetric. These 3 feet are coplanar, and this one has a step in it and a pin and a couple of big rivet heads. The lower face of it is on that plane. I'm calling that kind of my datum for this whole thing. It gets confusing because the center seat is totally different. Not only are the faces of its feet not coplanar, they're at a different height than these are, and there's not a lot to measure to. You know, the surface you want to be flat is the bench inside, is the upholstery. You can't measure that, it's soft. So I'm poking around a little bit. I think there's these fasteners right here holding the structural hinge part to the base of the seat. Those are in all three seats, and I think they are in the same place. So those are going to be kind of my keys. And then the only other thing I can figure to go off of is this welded tube up here. I think that's going to get me close enough. So the plan now is I'm going to establish a line here at the back of the seat and cut these off and weld a couple of plates in to drop this. I think my target's going to be 2.5 inches. Drop this 2.5 inches and create a ledge to sit on that subframe. And once I have that established, I can measure forward, and I think it's going to put the forward bar in here somewhere, so I can carve this out and weld in some tabs. Again, 2.5 inches down from here. And that'll sit on the tube here and sit on the tube here. Give me some height. I'm going to have to cut off these front feet so that the little lever action dealy bob has somewhere to live. And I think everything's going to clear and move and fit and do what it needs to do. But I'm going to hack up this, just tack in the plates, tack in the tabs, and then put it back in the truck and see how everything clears. All right, I got the first one cut down. I cut the back of the back legs off here and welded in a piece of angle that drops this mounting surface 2.5 inches. And then I came in here and tacked some tabs to the inside 2.5 inches down and lopped the front feet off entirely. So these should be pitched the same as the subframe and give me a mounting surface to work with. So I'm going to go give it the first test fit and see how it looks. It's not bad. I can drive this truck. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay, things are moving right along. I got the driver's seat modified, welded up, and fitted and sitting how I want it. It's a little cozier in that cab than I originally thought it would be. I had to do a lot of work to get the seat as low and as far back as possible to get a reasonable driving position. But I got it figured out. So now it's time to give the same treatment to the passenger seat. Luckily, it's the exact same thing, but mirrored, so it should go pretty quick. At the end of the day, it's pretty darn simple. I just need 4 mounting holes on a plane, 2.5 inches down, up, depends on your frame of reference, 2.5 inches from here. So that's the front of the seat. So these are the back feet. I lop the back of the back feet off. I take some chunks of angle and weld them to that face. And that gives me this surface to bolt to down at the correct height. And then for the front feet, take a couple other little scraps of angle and weld them on like that, giving me this face. And then I hack off these feet because they're sticking down and unnecessary and kind of in the way. but I do it in that order so that I can still reference these surfaces to fixture this stuff as I'm welding it. And I do that with just spacers and tubes and straight edges and things. I'll show you that when I get to it. First step, this cut. Using my old garbage seat cover as a welding blanket. Try not to mess up all my nice new upholstery with these sparks. I mean, kind of trying. It's a truck, I'm not too worried about it. Now this can weld on something like that. Give me a mounting pad. All right, so what I have going on here looks awful, but it's not really too crazy. So I got my angles clamped to a 4-inch stack, and then these are straight edges. Just some aluminum angle I had laying around. And then on each of the feet that I want to reference, I have an 1.5-inch tube stacked as a spacer. So 4 inches minus 1.5 inches, that's the 2.5 I'm going for. The reason I have to go up, over, and down is because there's a lip here. I can't just stack 2.5 there and then come across. But that is holding both of those up against the face I just cut and at the elevation I want. And I mean, it's not perfect, but they're not too cattywampus angle-wise. Fortunately, it's blocking a lot of my access, so all I can really do is tack it on now, but that's good enough. Now the front ones go on around here. And on the other side, this hook hole thing is far enough forward I can just break that off and plug weld the whole thing. This side it's way off to one side, so I'm going to drill a hole there so I can get half of this and that. And then I got to strip the paint around all that stuff and in here, because after I cut the foot off, I can get in there and get some weld up top too. Alright, similar idea here. Just doing some straight edgy stuff to get this in the right place. So I got some aluminum bars across the feet that I want to reference. And then I have an 1.5 inch tube and a 1, 2, 3 block, the 1 inch side, so that's my 2.5 inches. Clamped to my angle bracket, pressed up against this wall, and then just tape measure pitch to this one 12 inches inside to inside, which is the spacing that I want. Ready to weld. And that's it. I'm going to set up the same thing on the other side. Now we lop the front feet off. It's easier to do in this order because I just used them to reference these. But now I'm done. Now I have the feet where I want them. And as you can see, my subframe, which is made out of a 1 inch tube, will hit here and not get to the feet I just installed. So that needs to notch down. And as soon as I notch that out, there's no reason for this whole thing to be here. So I just excise the whole thing. Don't need that. Now that I got good access, there's no reason not to slap a little weld in there. All right, that's the feet installed. Now they need holes. So laying out a hole pattern on these 4 points is actually pretty tricky for a couple of reasons. One, you can't measure, there's stuff in the way. I can't get a tape measure from this point to this point to get accurate layout. Also, there's not much on this seat that's obvious to measure to. It's got a lot of curves and asymmetries and things, like where is the center line of the seat? So to deal with those issues, I made a drill jig. This is a weird looking piece of steel I got out of a dumpster ages ago. I don't know what the original designer had in mind for it, but it's quite convenient for me. I had to notch it out a little bit to clear the frame here, but it's a flat piece with most of the holes I needed, and I drilled my 4-hole layout here. And so now if I can align this on the seat, I can just transfer these holes and know that the distance between these two is right, because I was able to measure it off the part, even though I can't measure it now. I had aspirations to use that same jig to mount the tabs on the subframe. That didn't pan out for reasons, but even if it just lays out these holes accurately, that's enough. As for measuring the seat, the things I decided to use are these bolts. They exist in all 3 seats, and they seem to be related to the frame the same way every time. So I can measure from this bolt head to the back of this plate. I know the thickness of this plate, and then I can come out the dimension that I want, minus this dimension, minus this thickness, and get myself a line on these. And then I can come off of these with a framing square, measure to the face that this bolt goes into, and come back and get my position side to side. And I mark these 2 holes, align the drill jig to these, and that gets me the alignment that I need. There we go, passenger seat modified. Just like that, the middle seat's done. Man, this sure is easy after editing. It was just more of the same. I figured you didn't need to see it again. Brackets look a little bit different. There's one solid on the back here, just because it kind of worked out that way. And little tabs on the front. Had to do a fair bit more surgery. There's the chunk I hacked off. For whatever reason, the Explorer's middle seat is taller than the side seats. This would have crashed into the floor pan inside the truck and everything, so the tabs are way down here. I did the same thing where I aligned them based on these, got them tacked, hacked this off, then finished everything up. But all that went well, and now this is ready to go. Next I have to weld some tabs onto the subframe so this has somewhere to bolt into, and then I think it's paint and install time. Exciting. Man, what an improvement. Seatbelts are looking a little out of place, but that doesn't bother me one bit. Pretty happy with the alignment. Not thrilled with the big gaps. There's like a lot of space between these seats, but there's kind of nothing to do about it. I mean, this is a wide truck, and the middle seat's got to be in the middle. And the driver's seat's got to be centered on the steering wheel, so this is kind of the only solution. Turns out a kiddie pool works great as a semi-rigid tarp. But I'm a happy camper. That looks amazing. And more important than that, is that I have a comfortable seat again. And when I say comfortable, the minimum bar is tolerable. I mean, this is such a huge upgrade. You saw what we started with. That blown out bench seat was just sitting on the steel frame of it. And, you know, I think I lost a little space. My knees are a little closer to the dash, but I'm a tall guy. And I fit, and I can reach everything, and it's centered on the steering wheel. And it's got padding. And it's human back shaped. Huge upgrade. So that's going to be a wrap on a pretty cluttered, disorderly video. Hopefully you got something out of it, and always nice to have the company, and we'll see you on the next one.